And my name is Lee Harris.
My name is Richard Kerr, Kerr, just like the glass jars, but no relation, unfortunately.
We basically listen to a lot of what we call blues and big band recording because I have a history of my ancestors were from the South, and we were basically the slave era. And during slavery, they usually communicated through music and song. So in my heritage, we listen to a lot of music.
Well, I think most of my music, I was involved in the high school band, and then I was in a swing band, listening to music by Harry James, Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, all the good music that I don't really hear much anymore, but it was involved with that. It was the large records, the big ones you don't even see anymore. I guess they're all just history, but it was sure fun listening to them. And of course, most of the restaurants in those days had jukeboxes. So I think it had influence on me. I love music. I still do. There's a tremendous channel on the cable network that plays all kinds of oldie music. But I don't think it, as far as I'm aware, I don't think it affected my mom and dad or my brother and sister.
And when I was growing up, every like holidays and any type of special occasion, we would always have what we call backyard parties. And backyard parties involved a lot of loud music. With picnics and the barbecues, and not only would we have it in one home, but we would have music playing like from yard to yard. They would have it, so it's influenced me a lot in the way I communicated as well. The radio, not only do we have like a turntable type music, but radios in each home was very popular, especially where I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, because the TV, every home didn't have a TV. So we basically, every night before we went to bed, everyone would sit around the radio and listen to the radio. And we would listen to either soap operas or cowboys. And we would sit around the radio and listen to that as well. Sporting events, we would listen to on radio because we didn't have a TV.
Well, radio was one of the main ways we got our news. Back in those days, there was radio and newspapers. There wasn't television. There wasn't the internet. There wasn't anything like that. I didn't have to use my thumbs on my little phone. We didn't have little phones. The newspapers and the radio were where we got our news. Because I remember, I think one of the most distinct things I remember about radio was December 7th, 1941, when Pearl Harbor was bombed. I was visiting my aunt and uncle up in St. Paul, Minnesota. We had the radio on, as most people did. It was Sunday afternoon, and all of a sudden they broke in with the news report that our fleet had been attacked at Pearl Harbor. And I think that, as I say, radio was our main way of getting news, that and newspapers.
At that time when Joe Louis was boxing, it was you're easy to hear like Joe Louis threw a rock and he threw a right punch and he ducked and oh my God, Joe Louis threw a left. Joe Louis is down or the other man is down right there on radio. So we had this visual picture through sound coming through the radio.
I think it had to. I think it kept the people in contact with what was going on. Today, they're in contact through the internet. You sit in front of your internet connection, you see all the news, but then that was the only way that you got the news. You didn't know what was going on otherwise.
Radio, I think mostly I would say it influenced me by wanting to expand my knowledge, expand vocabulary. That's how it really influenced us because you kind of like wanted to be like other people now that you've heard a lot about it and you can see it. So it really today people can look at different like artists or like a president or something, and say you want to be like a president, you can visually see it, but then we can hear it. But the biggest thing, Sam, was that in my culture we were so limited. We weren't allowed to do a lot, so it influenced us by wanting to become bigger and better than who we are. We wanted to be just like a person we heard on radio.
It's like the difference now in what's happening as far as the war is concerned, and then you didn't know for weeks back in World War II and even Korea, you didn't know for a long time what was actually going on. Today, you know it almost instantly. Now, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I do know there was a vast change during Vietnam when it was totally covered with television. There were so many things on there that were shown, things that maybe shouldn't have been shown, but they were shown, and it was totally different from World War II, Korea, to Vietnam as far as television was concerned.
Once you start seeing people opposed to just hearing their voices all the time, it make you want to grow. Yeah. You look at it and I really want to grow. I really have something to strive for. I want to be like this person. Oh, this is how it works. Oh, this is what they do. This is how they dress.
For instance, internet. I think that when you speak of media, there's much more availability of news. As far as media for theaters, again, I think sometimes it's going down the tubes. I happen to be a Christian. I think there's a lot of things that are going on television and in the theaters that shouldn't be allowed, but that's neither here nor there. It's different now than it was 50, 60 years ago.
Back then, everything was so slow. So now we're connected to everything and all cultures today. Like I mentioned earlier, everything was limited back then. So the computer, I mean, say for instance, if you just left or in prison or something 20 years ago, if you got out today, you wouldn't be able to function.